Hello and welcome to another Eurogamer newscast. It's the 4th of March 2021, and I'm once again joined by Eurogamer news editor Tom Phillips. Say hello, Tom.
Hello there.
And Eurogamer reporter Emma Kent. Say hello, Emma.
Hello.
Another action-packed week of video game news to run through. But before we get onto that, our traditional what have we been playing catch-up. Let's start with you, Tom. Apart from playing with your new webcam, what have you been up to this week?
What have I been up to? I have been taking in last month's TikTok memes by buying a sea shanty emote on Fortnite.
Down with the kids.
Wow, you're so cool.
Yeah. I learned this morning what dub means. I actually looked it up on urbandictionary.com.
Is that because I kept bringing it up and you're confused?
What do you mean? Everyone knows what dub means.
I feel like it's more
got a different
meaning
thing, for kids? Please tell me it hasn't got another meaning.
It's just short for W, which is short for win. So it means win. It's in the sea shanty lyrics, and I had to look it up. I thought it was like a nautical term, like something to do with rowing a boat.
What, like wubba dub dub?
Yeah, I don't know.
Your journey through TikTok will be a sight.
I mean, the site is literally Eurogamer.net. Yes, I'm charting my discoveries. I told you this morning when we talked. Like, I did try TikTok for like 5 minutes because I thought that there was more wholesome sea shanty content on there, and it was just like a load of nonsense. No, I deleted it.
Yeah.
The best way to view TikTok is through people curating it on Twitter.
Exactly. Or
that's what someone's parent would say.
When it arrives in Fortnite as well.
Ooh.
That's usually when I get it.
Then
because
it's
a lot of the Fortnite
that's when it's no longer funny. You know.
So yeah. What's the social media timeline? So you start with TikTok, then Instagram. You like get a bit older. Maybe
I'd say Twitter second, actually. Oh, what you took in terms of like
Instagram?
I thought you meant in terms of like the zeitgeist of.
No, I mean like through the ages. So like you're getting older.
TikTok
you're
to boomer.
You're too old. You're too old to
like
TikTok.
TikTok is the teen thing, and then Snap and Insta, and then
Snapchat,
Twitter's like
this is millennial,
and then Facebook is like top boomer.
You don't want to go there. It's the bad place.
It really is. I mean, let's be honest, they're all terrible. Which is why you should all read Eurogamer. Instead, Emma, what have you been playing this week?
So I have once again been playing Valheim, and I'm sure this is going to be the answer just for several weeks now. You won't even need to ask me. I'll just be like, okay, Emma's playing Valheim. It's one of those games that you can just play forever.
Are you playing it pretty much every night now? Pretty
much. Well, I'm renting a dedicated server, which means that the people who have the login can just jump on at any time. So often I'll just go on and like one of my friends will be on there, and then we just end up going on an adventure, and it takes a whole evening. And I'm like, oh, where did all the time go again?
Oh man, that reminds me of World of Warcraft days. Really
yeah,
does.
Exactly. So watch out, where's it? Get sucked in. But
just knowing that someone will be on pretty much at any given moment is the real pull of it. Well, it was for Warcraft for me.
Yeah. Well, we've been preparing to take on the second boss. We got there. We sailed across half the map to get to the island. We built a base, got all the gear, and then I think today we're going to go take on the Elder, which is this horrible kind of eldritch horror in the woods.
The Elder.
Oh my god.
The boomer of Valheim.
Yeah, you'll interrupt him posting about vaccines on Facebook.
Stop, we've got some sciencey.
yeah. Oh my god, I'm actually really wanting to know how it goes. I wish you the best of luck.
Well, I might have to call the body recovery service.
Good segue.
If it goes wrong.
Slick. So Emma, what is the body recovery service in?
Well, yeah, Body Recovery Squad. Name right.
Squad.
But they're a group of players who've been running this Discord for about 2 weeks, where people who get killed by a Desquito have a horrible accident in a high level.
Whoa. Killed by what?
A Desquito.
Come on, man.
They're
What
giant,
the hell is that?
They're giant mosquitoes.
Are they?
And they have a habit of just flying out offshore and getting you while you're on your boat. So a lot of people will sail a bit too close to the shoreline and then get kind of bitten to death. And then their tomb and all their stuff is just kind of floating on the waves, and they can't get back to it because there's more mosquitoes there and they can't get their stuff. And it's just a nightmare, and you have to go back and like remake all your stuff, and you have to forge it for ages, and it's like, oh. And it's part of the appeal of Valheim because it is like a bit risky going to those areas, and that's why it's fun. But sometimes it does get annoying, and you might be a bit disheartened if you've put 10 hours into creating this gear and then it's just taken out by a giant mosquito. So basically this group, you can kind of like phone them up, and some trained operators will come in, like a group of big burly Vikings will come in and beat up the mosquito for you and let you get your stuff back. So you don't have to go through the horrible process of trying to get it back yourself.
Now you've
Viking pest control.
Yeah, exactly.
You've written a great article on this, which is on the site now, which I thoroughly recommend people check out. One question I have is, are they just doing this out of the kindness of their hearts? Are they charging people some sort of payment for their services?
Well, it's completely free, and I thought that maybe they'd take some donations if people were just being charitable, but they've got like a strict like no payment policy. They don't take anything. They just do it for free to foster a community.
Missing a trick.
Yeah,
if
soon,
this was
like,
Fallout,
if
this was Fallout, they'd literally it would be ransom.
Yeah, we got your tombstone items, now pay up.
Exactly. Yeah. That's too wholesome for me. I need it's Vikings, for Christ's sake. They should be taking all their gold. I don't know whatever is in the game, but no, that's fantastic. I have been playing Outriders. Outriders has a demo, and it's quite a decent demo in terms of content. The whole prologue, and then a decent chunk of the early post-prologue game, and all your progress carries over to the full game when it launches in April, if you buy it. Outriders is, it's mediocre in the most positive sense. Which sounds like a weird thing to say.
Oh, they should put that on their advertising.
Yeah.
Why haven't they asked us for a quote approval on that?
I've played it a lot, I've played this stinking demo so much, and it's so mediocre and so old school in terms of design. Like, it's like a Gears of War game from the Xbox 360, and it wants you to. It seems to want you to play it like a Gears of War game, like a third-person cover shooter. Cover shooters back in the day, they'd have cover so conveniently placed everywhere. And when you came out to an area that had loads of these little bits of cover, you're like, right, it's going to kick off. It's all like the last, 10 years never happened. And it's got like poor loading cutscenes, and it's got jank all over the place, and it's so brown. But it's got some redeeming qualities, and they're like space magic powers, basically. And depending on your class, you have different types. And the game doesn't really do a good job of telling you that you really should just play the game using your powers. Get out of cover, forget about shooting from far away, really. Just get stuck in, use these powers, and some of them are pretty cool. And they have short cooldowns, so you can do them quite frequently. And the game becomes a lot better. It's almost like the game was like a bog standard cover shooter, and then someone in development realized it's kind of crap and they needed to do something, but forgot to change the tutorial and the prologue and the start of the game to be like, this is the point. And they've got a cool mechanic where pretty much every class regains health by doing up close damage or damage in some way. So the mechanics of the game are built for you to play in this way. It just doesn't really tell you to do it. And so, if you're playing it like Gears of War, shit. I mean, it is shit. But if you work out how to play it properly, it's all right.
Is there a bit of that old Destiny magic to it?
I mean, oh my God, Tom, right? You especially. Emma, you never played Destiny, but Tom, you look at this game's menu, it's plagiarism. I'm sorry, people can fly, but this is plagiarism. you know when you get like a weapon, you look at it, details, and it's exactly the same. It's got the little circle, you move around your thumbstick. It's got the layout the same, the color tone of it is the same, almost the fonts are almost the same. Like little like perks of the weapon, they're mods in this case. I'm like, if I was Bungie, I'd look at that, I'd be like, it's so similar. But it's got that looter feel. Looter shooter, schluter feel. I'll never say that again, don't worry.
That is one of the worst things
It's
that Randy
horrible.
Pitchford has ever done, introducing that word, and that's saying something.
Yeah, you're right. That's how bad it is. But yeah, and there's a bit of Borderlands about it as well. I mean, it's it's like a lot of games now, Division, Anthem. It's nowhere near as good in terms of like feel. Doesn't look great, but I think it will do all right. The demo's been surprisingly popular, and like I say, mediocre in the most positive sense. You can have that one for free, Square Enix. Let's move on to the week's news, and some big stuff has hot off the press emerged this week, and it is new details reported, alleged, supposed new details about the mythical Nintendo Switch Pro. Now, Tom, you've covered this for the site, so why don't you run through what has emerged this week?
Yeah, so Switch Pro, which is almost certainly not what it's going to be called when it eventually
really
emerges.
Why did you say that? It seems so obvious to me.
I think like everyone's just used to calling it that by now. It's sort of the name that's been attached to it, because we've been talking about it for like 2 years now, but Nintendo probably just call it Nintendo XL. I don't know. Some new Nintendo Switch Brothers something. I don't know.
Tom, you cut out then.
You went a little bit robot.
And I really want to know what you were saying.
Oh, you just said a big scoop.
Yeah.
We missed it. Oh no.
Usually when the internet craps out, which it does a fair bit, mate. No, don't want to make you feel bad, but usually when it craps out, I don't care, because who cares what you've been saying. But this is one time I need to know what you just said. So let's have it again.
Yes, thank you, Sky. Which is unable to load the web page with our last week's Nintendo Eurogamer newscast on.
Did Eurogamer just crash your internet?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So yes, Nintendo Switch Pro, which is, as I was saying, probably not what it's going to be called, which we've been hearing about for like 2 years. Finally, we got a report that its production is coming up, and that's from sources talking to Bloomberg, who are aware of its screen, which is going to be reportedly a 720p OLED screen in the handheld itself. And then the device, when docked to the TV, will output a 4K. So that's a bump for the screen in terms of size. The current Switch is 6.2 inches. Switch Lite is 5.5. We're talking about a 7-inch screen here and an OLED screen rather than an LCD screen. So it should mean that the new model, if all of this transpires, will have a larger screen and it will have higher contrast. And 4K obviously is a big bonus for docked play, because right now Switch, it's 1080p, but on a 4K screen that doesn't look great. And when you're used to playing stuff on the Series X or PS5, going back to playing 1080p stuff, it's noticeable. So both of those things sound good. 720p has been criticized by some people for the handheld screen as being too low, and in 2021 talking about a 720p thing that's still yet to release sounds a bit dated.
I mean, Nintendo probably just read about it on the internet.
Right, they've just got the internet and they're reading about this now.
So have you.
Yeah, barely. I don't even know if I'd say that. But the fact is that when you're holding a screen that size, that close to your face, the difference between 720p and 1080p, you could notice it, sure, but like it's not going to be the same as when you're looking at 720p 1080 on a massive like 4K telly. And I was speaking to Rich Ledbetter about this earlier, boss of Digital Foundry, and the way he put it was quite good, which is that he was saying, yeah, you know, if Nintendo had put a 1080p screen in the Switch Pro handheld, it would look better, but you wouldn't be getting like full 1080p quality. You just get 720p on a slightly larger scale. So yeah,
and this cuts costs.
It cuts, you've got to think the other side of it. It cuts costs and it massively will increase the battery life, which when you're talking about playing portably is a big deal. So yes, 720p on handheld, 4K on the big screen. Now this wasn't like completely out of the ether. There've been rumors, rumblings about Switch Pro happening for years, as I said. The big question now, though, is when we will see it. When will it launch? And will it launch this side of Christmas or next side of Christmas? Bloomberg says that production on the screens will start in June, and then they'll be passed to Nintendo starting in July for assembly. Now the question is, how many units can Nintendo make before the end of the year? And if that's enough, sort of seems like we're looking at launch in time for Christmas.
Christmas 2021, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, we were all expect, like, you know, we were talking not long ago about Zelda being delayed to 2022. I say delayed, but, you know, just coming out in 2022.
Yeah, they never announced exactly when it's going to come. But
so what do you think, Tom? Do you think it's going to come out this Christmas?
I think that reading this report now, knowing that they've chosen a manufacturer for the screen, that things seem to be ticking along. I think that the only thing that could hold them back now is if they get to, say, September and they're like, you know, production's been a bit more difficult, or we were a bit too optimistic with how many that we were able to make, and production has been a bit iffy the last year or so for obvious reasons. What might hold them back is not, can we launch it? Because it sounds like, yes, they probably can launch it, but should they launch it? Because there's no point launching something where you can only ship 1 million units worldwide and no one can get one and everyone's upset.
I mean, that sounds like something Nintendo would do. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe, Tom. Maybe they'll sell it at Christmas and then never sell it again. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, we're like 3 weeks out from Mario getting killed. It'll be a sad newscast when that happens.
It's just a big skull on a calendar, a little Mario hat.
Emma, you have a Switch, right?
Yeah, I do.
Would you buy this?
No, I'm fine. My current Switch is fine. It's a nice little Pikachu Eevee edition, so it looks nice, it works. I'm fine waiting a while before thinking of upgrading. Maybe if you bought a Switch right at the start, because I was a bit late to actually buying a Switch, then maybe be more tempted to upgrade. But I'm happy where I am right now with that.
All right, so in my opinion, you don't launch this in Christmas unless you've got something big to launch with it, right? A showcase game that will show off the benefits of having such a thing, like, and that's Zelda, right? Isn't it? I mean, that's Breath of the Wild 2. Seems like the obvious candidate, and that was another game that we're talking about being potentially put out next year instead of this year. Tom, do you see that game launching alongside the Switch Pro as a showcase game, or do you think there's something else that Nintendo might have up its sleeve, or does it even need to launch it with a showcase game?
Yeah, I think it does need a showcase game for it. That Nintendo, more than PlayStation or Microsoft, Nintendo sells its hardware based on the games that it makes, because you buy Nintendo hardware for Nintendo games. And traditionally, there has always been at least some kind of first-party release with the launch of new hardware. And I don't think that what else we expect from Zelda this year, like more remakes, I don't think that's strong enough. So yes, I think if it launches this year, Zelda will be this year. The latest that they said in the direct a couple of weeks ago, Numa said we'll have more to share on Zelda's release later this year, leaving the window open for it to be 2022. And let's remember, Nintendo hasn't said anything about Nintendo Switch Pro, and certainly not confirmed it for release this year. But if it does come this year, I expect Zelda to come with it. And another reason for that is the Pokemon Direct that was held last week, which announced the very Zelda-like looking Pokemon Legends Arceus game, which
Arceus.
Yeah.
Sorry, can we just
pause there?
Whoa. That's how you pronounce it?
Arceus, yeah.
Arceus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Uranus, but Arceus. That is very Breath of the Wild like, Wes. And I can't see
Isn't everything?
A lot of things are now these days.
I saw this doing the rounds. People seem upset because it looks like Breath of the Wild or Genshin Impact, which
yes.
I'm seeing people saying they want this game to be more like Zelda, more like this than Zelda, which seems crazy to me.
The famously original Genshin Impact. I think that if and so Pokemon Legends Arceus has been confirmed for early 2022, which I think means Zelda doesn't launch rubbing up against Arceus and actually launches just before Christmas instead.
Mate, it's a good crack. This is.
It's just a bum note.
God, the cheek on you. I think we should. So you're saying we should expect Zelda and then Arceus soon after.
Arceus is confirmed for early 2022. Honestly,
right.
So I think that the pieces are falling into
similar.
place. The pieces are falling into place for Switch Pro and Breath of the Wild 2 before Christmas.
Emma, none of this appeals. None of this is like, right, I'm going to get a Pro for this.
None of this chat appeals, I think.
I know this is almost God no. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna be blasphemous to say that I bounced off Breath of the Wild. I don't know why. I didn't quite click with it. I know, yeah. I don't understand why, but I just couldn't quite get into it. So maybe if it takes some of those elements and just does it in a different way, maybe I would go for it. But it's not something that immediately excites me that much.
What about if this Arceus game is like very much better on the Pro than it is on the OG Switch? I mean, from a starting point, are you interested in this game?
A little bit, yeah. I think I am. I want to get back into Pokemon. I kind of missed the last one after all the Dexit stuff. I don't know why. I just kind of was like, I'm just gonna leave it alone. But I might come back in. I'm not really sure I'd be that bothered if it was just I was playing it on my current Switch, because I just don't get that upset about not having like the top of the line hardware unless it actually becomes a problem.
It's Nintendo.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah, I just
Nintendo's
it's like a little
really never played
handheld.
that
I
game.
don't mind. You know, like I still sometimes play on my old DS and stuff like that, and it's like it doesn't bother me too much. So long as it's not like really frame ratey, you know, something like that. If it runs fine, I'm okay with it.
That's the concern, isn't it? I mean, when developers have the option to build for a more powerful unit, what impact does that have on the version of the game that comes out on the previous generation? All of this will be for both. I mean, there's no doubt the install base of the Switch is too high for them to leave it behind ever, really. I don't think. So yeah, these games are going to be built with both versions in mind. So as long as they can keep the OG versions, the versions of their games for the OG Switch running well, it will just be like an added benefit to play it on the Pro. I presume. I can't see them doing Pro exclusives. And then the Splatoon as well. Splatoon 3, 2. Which one are we on?
3 will be the next.
Yeah, which clearly is going to be another Pro showcase. And price, God, why are they going to price it? Because the Switch hasn't really come down, has it? It's not had a price cut.
Doesn't need to.
Yeah, it's doing so well. I mean, I assume that will they price cut it when the Pro comes out? That seems like something they could do.
Yeah, and actually, I think that what they will probably do is just retire it, and you'll have Pro and Lite. That seems to be what they've done previously.
Right. So, what are they going to call it, Tom? If it's not the Pro, if it's not the obvious, easy to understand, everyone's already calling it anyway, Nintendo Switch Pro, then what fresh hell will they come up with?
Switch U.
Oh my God, you're right. Yeah. Switch U. Switch U. HD. Nintendo Switch
Whichever.
HD.
They could go 4K. I think that's too technical for Nintendo.
No. It'll be something really weird that we'll never guess, and we'll all be like,
Yeah.
Switch chonk.
Is that another word you learned this week?
Love it. Well, they've called something a Wii before, they called something a U before, and they called something a Switch, so God knows.
Switch Arceus.
Arceus. I cannot believe that game is pronounced like that.
Arceus is the god of Pokemon. It's like the top Pokemon that created all the other Pokemon. Yeah.
So there's like a creationism is behind Pokemon. It's not evolution, natural evolution. It's not like normal what we believe to be the case for humanity.
Well,
and
evolution,
all of life on the planet.
Evolution does exist in the world of Pokemon, but only within specific Pokemon families.
They've tried to both sides it.
Are you telling me that the Pokemon lore is there's like a god Pokemon who created all the other Pokemon?
Yeah. So Arceus created some of the legendary Pokemon, and the legendary Pokemon created like the land and the sea and the elements, and yeah, it's one of those. And
Arceus is the top.
I would have thought it'd be at the bottom.
You're in it now, Emma.
Yeah, no, you
can't look down your nose down at us now.
I thought you were better than this.
Well, I've learned a lot today. Arceus, Jesus. Okay, let's move on from the Nintendo Switch Pro to talk about other silly things that have happened this week. I want to talk about some Sony stuff, some PlayStation stuff. Let's continue with the silly stories. Emma,
banana controller.
This week, you wrote a story with one of my favorite headlines of the week. Sony wants to turn bananas into controllers. And also, I want to say that I really like your strap line for this. Reinvent the peel. Very good.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, explain.
Right, how to explain this. So basically, this is a patent application from Sony for technology and like a system that would recognize like everyday items, and you could kind of turn them into a controller. And what would happen is you'd have like a camera that would scan the item, and then it would be able to like recognize you moving the item around. So you could use it as like a steering wheel or like a joystick, and you could like accelerate and stuff like that. So you could play like Forza with, I don't know, a water bottle or something.
On PlayStation. Wow.
Oh wait, no, yeah, maybe not. Maybe one day. I don't know. Yeah. Where was I?
So
and
basically anything can be a controller.
Basically anything. Yeah, so as well as that, you could like hold up an item, and maybe using like VR technology, it could kind of show you where buttons are on the item. So you could have like the banana, and then you've got, if you press a specific part of the banana, it will be a button. Yeah, it can end up really mushy actually. If you're like really like playing a fighting game or something.
This is such a bad idea. What the hell are they doing? Banana.
They've been in lockdown too long over at Sony.
They've just lost it. Yeah, anything I have in my house is all of a sudden a controller. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's worth pointing out this is a patent, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be an actual thing that happens.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I would love to see it. I think everyone would. I dread to think of some of the items that could be scanned in for some games. Look, this is what the Eurogamer commenters immediately suggested, so I'm just reflecting
Yeah.
what the
You
internet
love
went
it.
to.
I'm above all this. I don't think about.
Whatever. I mean, you could actually get in a situation where you are playing. If the patent works the way I think it does, literally anything can be controlled, right?
Yeah,
It's
so
not necessarily
it was
has
kind
to
of
be a
suggesting
banana.
it could,
It's just anything.
it was suggesting it could either be anything, or the game could like suggest specific like pre-configured controllers, items that could be used as controllers, which would be like common household items.
But Sony did say banana.
Yeah, well, they had like, but they were using bananas and oranges as examples in the actual application, and they had like images of the bananas and stuff with people holding them. Ooh.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. Well, I hope it happens just because it'd be so funny, but I'm not sure this is going anywhere. Keeping with the PlayStation stuff, we learned this week, Tom, that PlayStation Store is retiring video purchases and rentals. This isn't happening until the end of August. So there's a bit of time left. Now, obviously, anyone who's got a PlayStation or had a PlayStation down the years will know that you can buy and rent movies. They explained why they're doing this, Tom. Why are they doing this?
Because no one uses it. Because in 2021, everybody has a Netflix account or Amazon Prime or Disney Plus, or you just watch stuff on iPlayer, catch-up services, 4OD, etc. So whether you have a subscription or you watch catch-up, that is how the vast majority of people absorb content these days.
Like a banana and someone's fingers.
Your words, not mine. And they are retiring. Like, it's just, not only is all of this stuff just there, I think it obviously takes up time and stuff to keep maintained. Like, all of these titles get added to the store and have descriptions and images, and like, God, that's just so much effort for something that no one ever uses. And it's the same on Xbox. That stuff is all there too. But I can't remember the last time I browsed through that.
I was going to say, like, when was the last time you bought a movie? Who buys movies?
I don't know. I rent stuff occasionally, but
do you?
Yeah,
Holy
like
shit.
if it's not on Netflix or Prime, and I'm like, oh, we really want to watch that specific one.
You got to be
then we might.
really want to watch something.
Well, sometimes honestly, the arguments over watching stuff is just worth paying $3.50, so we can just stop it and go on our lives.
I cannot remember the last time I bought a movie.
But you can also rent and buy stuff through things like Amazon. So I think it's just PlayStation saying, can't be bothered doing this through our platform anymore. Just deal with all of the hundreds of other options available.
Yeah. I bought I did last time. I do remember it. Last time I bought movie TV content from the PlayStation Store. It was the entire Blaze and the Monster Machines series for my son. They got like 50 quid out of me for that. Every single episode. And it's because the stinking subscription services, they keep rotating episodes in and out. And when my 3-year-old son is like, I want to watch this episode of Blaze, I'm like, sorry, son, but it has left the rotation of the subscription service we have on our PlayStation. He looks at me and is like, just sort it out, Dad. I don't give a shit about that. So I just thought I'll buy them all. And then they are. So forever now. An insight into my life. Okay, cool. Well, no one's going to, lament that, I don't think. Tom, will the Switch Pro allow you to buy and rent movies? It seems like the natural next step for Nintendo.
Yeah, I think
everyone's getting rid of it.
I think that stuff You know, all of the stuff, all of the episodes of that TV show that you watched, that you claim that you're watching just, or your son watches.
The songs are catchy. Nolan North is the voice of Blaze.
That does not surprise me.
To bring
Anyway,
it back, to
all
bring
of
it
those
back.
episodes that are rotating off the PlayStation Store, you know where they're going. They're being prepped ready for Nintendo Switch Pro.
Yeah, and it'll be like Nintendo will be like, you can buy a movie. You can rent movies. How is Netflix not on the Switch? I just cannot. I cannot.
Yeah.
Took them ages to get YouTube on.
What are they so worried? What are they worried about? What is the problem? Like,
partly they just, I mean, they're holding out so long that it's becoming less and less of a relevant thing each day.
Oh my God, man.
Like, everyone has TVs with Netflix built in now. So
sitting in your bed, Switch, Netflix. What the fuck? I mean,
Phone.
millions of people.
Yeah, but it's like much bigger than a phone.
Yeah.
That and then that.
Just
you know?
hold the phone closer. Right. Actually,
you started to sound like someone who works for Nintendo.
I did say that as a joke, but the Switch screen quality is no comparison. Like, you could hold the Switch up to your face and like, it would still be much better to hold your phone.
You're telling me they're not doing it because they know their screen is crap?
It's not as good an experience as holding up your iPhone and watching it on Netflix in bed.
Well, maybe with the Pro, the time has come for Nintendo
720p
to let you watch Netflix in 720p. I love it.
Saves you money because you wouldn't be paying for the Netflix 4K tier. See, Nintendo thinking about consumers.
Nintendo, yeah, put out a Wii U update this week. 3 years after the last one.
We got complaints about the Nintendo Direct episode of the newscast. I can't wait for them this week.
Yeah. What, Tom? All right. Well, I wasn't planning on talking about this, but come on, man. What has happened here? What is Nintendo doing with this Wii U update? The first one since 2018.
They just updated their SSL signature, which you need to do from time to time to keep things secure. Wii U still has access to the internet, believe it or not, Wesley.
Does it?
Yeah, it has an eShop. It has games which play things online, Mario Kart, Splatoon, and from time to time you need to update your SSL certificate. It's not very interesting, but it is interesting in a way because it's the first update in like 2.5 years. And as some people pointed out, it is now the case that the Wii U has been updated more recently than the Switch, which is kind of Nintendo are all focused on something else, it seems.
Okay. I mean, I love Nintendo. They give us stuff to talk about.
Oh well, yeah.
Yeah. Mate, I'm OG Nintendo. Grew up with it. Emma, talk to me about Elden Ring.
Oh yeah, Elden Ring leaks everywhere.
Why is Elden Ring in the news this week?
Well, basically, someone who is probably working on the game recorded the trailer that was for internal eyes only, and there was like watermarks and stuff all over it. And this bit of footage was being kind of circulated around some corners of the internet, and then this week it kind of exploded onto everywhere on the internet. And yeah, it's kind of our first actual look at it at all, like properly, because like the first trailer, you know, it was like very cinematic. You didn't really get an idea of what it looked like. It just looks like very colorful Dark Souls, even though the trailer's not very good quality at all.
I enjoyed your tweets.
Yeah.
About someone taking footage of it with a potato.
Yeah.
Why, when we see these leaks, does it look like ass? Every single time.
Like a Pokemon.
Maybe people wouldn't believe it if it was too high quality. They're like, that's not a proper leak. It doesn't look all grainy and weird.
Right. So it's filmed for effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, what were they? Look, what has happened to that footage to end up like that? Because I've refused to believe that someone used a Nokia phone that played Snake to take that picture or to take this video. So something has happened there. Tom, this footage is still online. Now, this is surprising to me because usually in this sort of situation, when something like that leaks, the publishers take it down or they issue DMCA takedowns. It usually happens relatively quickly. Not that it stops anything from spreading generally. The internet never forgets. People pass stuff around. As soon as it's out there, it's out there. But the original, like the things that people are embedding in articles on forums, YouTube videos and tweets, usually all gets DMCA. This hasn't been DMCA'd by Bandai Namco. Why do we think that hasn't happened in this case?
It is odd. It is odd. I've seen some suggestion that Japanese publishers, developers might move slower than Western ones. I don't know that that's necessarily true. In this case, it's been long enough. I also don't really hold any weight with people saying, oh, well, if they pulled it, then that would just confirm it, because I think the footage that's out there now is quite obviously real beyond any reasonable doubt. So it is odd.
People
not
people have even upscaled this. They upscaled it and put it on YouTube.
Now jacket potato. They seem to be ignoring it as much as possible, which Streisand effect, I think, is probably the only thing that they can do at this point to not spread it further. And like we talk about it, and it's on we didn't post it on our site, but it's on a bunch of sites and forums and Reddit and so forth. But man on the street still has no idea that this is happening.
The Elden Ring full leak trailer footage, 112 seconds, 720p upscaled video on YouTube has had over 500,000 views from a very tiny YouTube account. So people are looking at this. Normally DMCA's, they legitimize leaks, right? When you see the notice that it says, company X, Capcom, Activision, whatever, this video has been removed because of a copyright notice from the company. I mean, you're like, yeah, that's real. It was real, but we don't have so the fact that this hasn't happened in this case does not suggest that this isn't real. This is everyone's pretty much agreed this is legit, right?
Yeah. There's just so much of it, and the footage, as we reported on Eurogamer, has been floating around for a while, and you could tell that people were kind of just waiting to talk about it, like, oh, they knew that this was happening, because last weekend and the back end of last week, people were starting to sort of chatter about it online, and like you could see the dam was starting to go, and then obviously like someone was the one that actually posted the footage, and the dam broke, and it is odd that it's still up, but there is no doubt about it. I think, really, like, you look at the watermarks, you look at that poor guy who's now fired, probably his working from home set up in there.
Emma, how's the Elden Ring subreddit coping?
I actually haven't checked in on them that much recently since the leak. Like, I should go see how they're doing. I guess
they're kind of
fuck.
Fuck. That was so funny. No Elden Ring, it's state of play. Fuck.
Yeah.
Well, now you've got it on a potato.
No. Oh, be careful what you wish for. Your first look at Elden Ring.
I think that the timing of this, knowing that the footage has been around for a long time, and knowing people who have sort of had access to it for a while, like, it's not surprising that the PlayStation State of Play thing happened and people were really pissed off that it didn't happen, and then it leaked. because I am sure that some people were passing it around being like, oh, don't worry guys, don't worry, like, don't share this, but like there's this thing on file sharing on yeah, it was days afterwards, literally, or
Yeah.
like 48 hours afterwards.
When do we think this game's coming out? Emma?
I'm going to say next year. I don't think we'll see it this year. We haven't seen anything about it yet. I don't know. That's just a date picked out of the blue, but I feel like it's going to be a little while until it actually releases.
There is a trademark for what looks and what sounds like a Bandai Namco themed Nintendo Direct style showcase thing. They haven't announced they're doing this, but there is a trademark recently unearthed where you could imagine them showing off a game like this right? This is so big. This game is so big that it is worthy of like an E3 press conference type thing, or if Microsoft had it in their show first reveal, it would be a huge deal, that sort of thing. So I can certainly see that happening this summer. The question will be, is it out in time for Christmas? Or is it... You're shaking your head, Tom. You reckon it's next year, huh?
Yeah, I do.
Will it be out before George R. Martin's next book?
Yes.
Yes, let's be honest. It will be. Okay. One to keep an eye out for. We're running out of time, but I want to talk briefly about Battlefield. Everyone knows there's a new Battlefield coming out this Christmas. A lot of pressure on it, I think, especially in context of the last one perhaps not going so well, and Call of Duty being absolutely monstrously enormous at the moment. And so the news we got this week is that the next Need for Speed has been delayed by an entire year, so that Criterion, which was going to be the developer, it still is the developer of Need for Speed, can help out on the next Battlefield game. Emma, contextualize this for us. Do we think this is an indication of development trouble, or just that EA is keenly aware that there's an enormous amount riding on Battlefield this year as their big tentpole Christmas game, and they just want to make it as big as it can be?
I think it's definitely they're just trying to make it enormous. We heard like a few weeks ago that EA was trying to say like this is going to use next gen hardware to the max and have like huge maps and everything destructible, and you can just imagine that's going to require a lot of people to work on it to actually achieve that. So with that context, I think they're probably just saying, look, let's just bring other teams onto it, get this like massive game out and earning money, and then Need for Speed can get sorted out after that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Need for Speed is still a big brand, despite it not being what it once was in terms of popularity. But I can see, EA really wanting this one to shine, and there's so much pressure on it. Like their battle royale flopped. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. Can anyone here remember what it's called?
Is it Firestorm or something like that? I don't know.
But Tom,
no.
any ideas?
I thought it was Firestorm. It was something like that. I remember like the storm was a ring of fire.
It was.
Around.
I think Ian played it a bit, but
yeah. I mean, it was Firestorm, but no one. It's not in any conversation, is it? Like, whereas Warzone is, one of the biggest battle royales on earth. So I think they'll be looking to try and address that gap with this game. And I think there is a degree of excitement about it for sure. And at a time when, Warzone does not have a next gen upgrade, like we're still, if you play Warzone now on PS5, you're playing the PS4 version back compat. Black Ops Cold War, seen by some people as kind of a step back, even though it does have a next gen version, it doesn't feel like a next gen game. There is an opportunity here if they do, really go for it in terms of graphics and mechanics and destruction. that it could stand out.
Would you also say that this year, if reportedly Call of Duty is World War II, that's probably one of the less interesting sub brands compared to Black Ops and Modern Warfare, so they might want to take their shot at that?
Yeah, well, Sledgehammer, the developer of this year's Call of Duty, returning to World War II, is exciting for like core fans because their last World War II game was very good. It was the game that got me into Call of Duty. I never played it before then, and so I don't think there's any suggestion that it won't be a good Call of Duty game. It's just it's very difficult for that sub-series to compare to Modern Warfare and Black Ops. Those are the two, two of the biggest brands in gaming, really. And so
Yeah.
I doubt Activision has any expectation that this year's game will, compete with those in terms of like initial excitement and sales. They probably accept that. So yeah, I think this is it. I feel like this is it. Like if Battlefield, if this fucks up, it's Star Wars forever. So,
yeah, because Battlefield doesn't come out every year. Call of Duty does, which is obviously because Call of Duty has multiple teams working on it, and Battlefield is primarily DICE, and they have to make sure that their shots land. Otherwise, you can't just be like, oh well, never mind. We did one in space and it didn't work. Next year, boots back on the ground. Battlefield has to win these battles, and this year feels like a really important one for them. It's been a while since I think Battlefield really rivaled COD in terms of popularity, for want of a better word. And also I just see those two brands which used to really go up against each other, and Call of Duty is just so far ahead in terms of traction now, what with Warzone and a couple of really popular launches.
Yeah, this is their moment, and I don't know what happens to Battlefield if it flops. I don't know what EA's internal expectations are for it, but yeah, I think the pressure's on. We're running out of time. We should wrap up. As is Eurogamer newscast tradition, it's time for a mug check. Now, Emma, last week you didn't have a mug. You had like a dusty glass thing that just didn't cut the mustard. What have you redeemed yourself this week?
I don't have a mug at all.
Tom is just shaking his head.
If that were me right now, I'd turn around, I'd pick up that vase and I'd down it just to have a glass.
I do have a glass, so there we go.
Another
Exciting.
dusty glass.
It's not dusty.
Hey, it's not a mug. Wow. So have you just given up, or did you forget?
I just completely forgot. I was too busy arranging the flowers. It's nice flowers there.
Okay, right. Well, there's only way is up from there, Tom.
It's the return of AC-12, aka the police force from BBC's Line of Duty, because that returns to our screens later this month, and in celebration of that,
Is this an advert?
BBC One, 9 p.m. No, I don't know exactly what it is.
Other channels are available. Did you ever see Truman Show when they were just randomly
Yeah,
like
they
a
just
product
turn
placement?
and
That was such a weird, like, am I in the Truman Show?
And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Such a good movie. This is my mug. Do you recognize
Captain
them?
America and Robin.
You're such a troll. You're such a troll. Get your mug off the screen. No, that's not Robin. Douchebag.
It's Arceus.
That's Arceus. And then recognize him.
I mean, his name's right above it, but it's Red Skull.
Oh,
yeah. This is what I'm a big fan of the old Captain America comics. I think they're really fascinating, not just as comics, but as like a window into that era in America, Americana. And I've got loads of old Captain America memorabilia. Not loads, that's an exaggeration, but that mug is one of them. I feel under pressure about the mug check, not gonna lie. because I'm running out of mugs
You have to
that
order
I've
some
got
mugs.
anything interesting to say about them. Tom isn't. He's got like mugs for days. He's such a nerd.
He's got like boxes of them and he's just like dusting them off. Like, oh, this one.
Yeah, I see. I dust my things off before I start drinking from them.
Yeah, it's like you two are the complete opposites for our mug check. Tom's like got every mug for a nerd mug on the planet, like in a room filled with mugs somewhere, and you've got nothing. You don't even remember.
This will turn around, but I could go back to Brighton and get my mugs back.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's gonna be an influx of mugs.
Okay, thanks for that, guys. That was a lot of fun. Some cool stuff this week. Tom, for those of who want more Arceus news, where should they go on Twitter?
It's Tom Phillips EG.
And Emma, for more it's so much to choose from to take the piss this week with you. For more dusty glass, for more potato takes, and for more actually, genuinely, to find out what happens tonight in Valheim.
Oh yeah, I'll have to do a follow-up.
Yeah. Where should I go on Twitter?
@GoneEFK.
Awesome. And I'm @WYP100. Bye.
Bye.